They don't come out of the womb arguing. It's a learned behavior.
What words do you recommend or tricks do you have to stop a 12-year-old boy from frequently or daily arguing and challenging almost everything he is asked to do?
Let's just work at home, because it all starts and ends at home anyway. Everyone wants to put, you listen when asked to do something. That's ridiculous. What you're actually saying is you respect me even though I haven't earned it yet. This is your training wheels. You're learning how to get respect by using that behavior board. Welcome to the Brat Busters Parenting Podcast. My name's Lisa Bunnage. I'm a parenting coach. I'm a mom. I'm also a grandmother.
And I'm Amy Bunnage, Lisa's daughter, and I handle the marketing and planning here at Brat Busters. While I don't have kids, each episode will dive into parenting topics and Lisa will answer your questions. Let's get started.
Okay, sweetie, what's today's topic?
The topic today is when your kids are arguing with you. So what tactics, tips you have? Do you have anything you want to get started with this one, or?
Well, they don't argue with a leader. So once you're a leader, they just don't. Because they know that you're so reasonable that they just don't argue because you're fair and reasonable. That's the whole thing. There's nothing to argue against. Once kids understand they're in a fair and reasonable household, they don't have anything to argue about, because if they don't like something, they'll just say to you, hey, you know what? I don't think that was fair. And then you'll say back, you know, you're right. Or actually, no, I do think it was fair. And then that's it. There's no arguing. So yeah, it just says you're not a leader yet, like a lot of stuff. I know it's such a broken record, but it's true. Everyone wants to know, how do you fix that? How do you fix that? How do you fix that? You don't. You work on yourself. You're not fixing kids here. You're fixing and teaching parents. So if they're arguing with you, it also is a tell that you're arguing with them. And we don't do that as a leader. So let's get into the questions, I think. Or do you have a comment?
No, I can understand though when you say just be a leader. Like I can understand it's like, okay, how, like what tactics, what tips, like where do you even get started? Like maybe go over your top 3 leadership qualities.
And this is the problem. It's because the answer is almost always become a leader. And the answer is always the same. Start with my free behavior board. Start there. And it starts to teach you how to be accountable yourself and how to teach kids to be accountable and respectful. And you respect them first, right? So I guess I'm kind of in a bit of a treadmill with this, because I want to be able to tell you how to fix one thing. But if you're not a leader, it's not going to work anyway. So your leadership always comes first, and then you can start, like you're learning as you go, but leadership without it, nothing's going to work, or not the style I teach. So anyway, my top 3 leadership qualities are, well, I already know. I keep looking at my list. I don't know why. Number 1 is stay calm during the storms. That is when you are disciplining. It's like a business transaction. There are no emotions when you're disciplining. Calm as anything. Talk low, talk slow, like something like this. Okay, so you broke a rule, so here's what we're going to do. And that's how you talk. That's number 1. Number 2 is you be crazy during the rainbows. When you're having fun with kids, enter their world. Be crazy, be goofy, roll around in the grass with them. Just be fun, be crazy. That's when you can be emotional, but not when you're angry or you're disciplining. That is not the time for emotions. It's the time to shut down your emotions, or at least pretend to. The third one is more for when they're about 5 and older, when they get really good at conversation. That's when you want to become a really good listener. Even before that, you can kind of show that you're trying to understand them when they're really little, and they kind of appreciate that too. If you're trying to figure out what they're saying, even at 2, like if you don't understand what they're saying, if you just kind of look like head tilt kind of, and okay, so did you mean this or that? That can help too. But listening is a really important skill, especially as they get older, and especially with teenagers. If you're not a good listener with a teenager, can be trouble.
Let's rewind about the shutting down the emotions during the intense, like what exactly does that look like?
Well, when you're disciplining, you talk low, like very quietly, and you also talk slow. You never want to rush discipline. You want to, because when you talk low and slow, it just sounds calmer. Like I kind of talk like this. Okay, so you broke a rule. I'll tell you what we're going to do. Blah, blah, blah. So you're usually at the behavior board if you've got one, because you don't always, behavior boards only are for the first 3 weeks. After that, you kind of go rogue and you sort of address everything. That's covered in the course, the boot camp course for 3 to 12-year-olds, not the toddler one. It's different. There's no behavior board in the toddler one. Anyway, so I forgot your question.
It's the idea of like how you would handle the intense times.
Oh, how you handle well, you're asking me how to handle yourself. And that's tricky.
The reason why I'm asking this question is because I think it could easily be misinterpreted as just shutting down. And I don't think that is your approach.
No, you don't shut down. You're still there. But you're not showing emotion when you're disciplining. You stay calm. So you shut down your emotions when you're disciplining. It's business. Treat discipline like a business transaction. There should be no emotions in it. Why would there be? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. Like if a kid hits someone, I'd say, oh, okay, so you hit him. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to let him play with your favorite toy for the next half hour. And then, do you understand? And then I make that happen.
And then after you've made that happen, what do you do?
Well, then I connect. Then I say, okay, he's playing with your favorite toy. Do you want to go read a book with me? There's no anger. They're in the doghouse. Oh, I couldn't even look at them. I was so mad all day. That's the kind of stuff that really, you're not a leader if you do that. That's the kind of stuff that really gets you in trouble, because that's what makes them feel bad. We don't want to make them feel bad. It's okay that they're mad. They're mad because they didn't get their own way. That's okay, but we don't want them to feel bad. We don't want them to feel unloved. They'll say, you don't love me, just because they're mad, but you know the difference. So if you just completely snub them for the rest of the day because they're in the doghouse, according to you, then that is when they start to feel unloved.
And that's what I'm just trying to tease out, just because I'm trying to think about ways that it could be misinterpreted. And I can see if you're saying be calm during the storms, or if you're saying like shut down the emotions, some people might take that as, well, the storm is actually the entire time that they have their consequence. So
the entire time they have the consequence.
So if you
no,
say,
not at all.
But I'm just,
I see. Yeah, you're right. So that's the pool story. That's that kid that I pulled out of the pool after he was naughty, made a mistake, he knew it, and then I pulled him out to sit with me for 10 minutes. That 10 minutes, I'm connecting with him. I'm chatting. I've already disciplined him. He's out of the pool. He's sitting with me. That is the discipline. If they hit the other kid and you give them the other kid gets his favorite toy for 10 minutes or a half hour, that is the discipline. It's finished. Now you're connecting. You're all cheery. You don't have to go overboard, but you're all like, hey, do you want to read a book? Or what are you doing today? Or what, you're connecting. You're showing that I'm not angry. I never was. Very good. Very good. I wouldn't have thought to explain it that good, but that's very good, because I can see how that could have been misinterpreted. Very good. Okay. Thank you.
We've discussed this as well. I'm trying to tease out some more.
Well, because because I'm the one teaching this, I see it from my perspective, which is very different from your perspective or someone who isn't teaching it, right? You're talking like a parent, like someone who doesn't understand what I'm saying initially, right? So you're just making it more clear. That's all.
Yeah, if you're listening right now, I don't have kids, but I see a lot of the questions that my mom gets on social media, so hopefully I can respond with some of those throughout.
Whereas I don't see those questions, but I do lives a lot. So I do see it there. And then with coaching's different. Coaching is, I take charge totally. And I'm guiding them along the way, because a coach focuses on solutions, and tomorrow we're not therapists. We don't focus on the past. So coaching is even different. So by the time people come to me, they're already in. They already get it. They already understand where I'm coming from. But the lives are when I see that initial. They've never seen me before. So yeah, that's the only place I ever see that where I need to be a little bit more sort of coherent in what I'm saying.
We always joke around. She's such a loose cannon on her lives. Like, she'll be talking to a friend. She goes, oh, I would never tell the friend something personal about you. And then I was like, have you said it on live? She goes, maybe.
Well, one day it was something around your wedding. And I don't know what it was, but it was something, she had a very private little wedding. It was just a few of us. And it was very secretive, not secretive, but private. Okay, shush. You're talking
married undercover.
And it wasn't that big a deal. You know what I mean? It wasn't, the secret was a big deal. It was just very quiet and private, which is the way she is. She doesn't like, big, shows of things. Anyway, so she said, Mom, she goes, because I used to do lives every single day. And she goes, did you tell anyone about something where I was having the wedding, like where it was going to be? I think that was it, where it was going to be. And I said, no. And she goes, are you sure? And I said, I would never say that. And she goes, because that's what you said on the live last night. I said it on a live. And I said, lives don't count. But that's the joke. I get really loose. I don't have a filter, or I try to, but I don't have much of a filter, because I don't feel I have much to hide. I'm not that fascinating, right? So, but yeah, I just let it fly on a live.
That's just me and the parents.
Yeah, and I forgot about it. And then I defended it. I said, oh, that was just a live. Nobody knows you. She goes, Mom, anyone could have been listening. Anyway, that's typical of me. So that's why I'm always in trouble.
Okay, should we get into the
Yes,
questions?
thank you.
Okay, so we have Jill from the United States. What words do you recommend or tricks do you have to stop a 12-year-old boy from frequently or daily arguing and challenging almost everything he is asked to do? So, for example, pick up after himself. He will protest and always has to have the last word to justify why he disagrees. So, turning off TV, stop playing Nintendo, we'll do it later. I feel like I have given in too many times and he needs redirection and I need coaching. He is the youngest of six. His siblings are 14, 19, 23, 27, and 28. And he lives in a home with married parents and he is a great student at school. Thank you.
Holy moly, that's a lot of kids. And they're adults too. Wow, good for you. Well, I thought I counted 5. I might have lost track. Okay. Anyway, okay, what you do is you get the behavior board. It's a very good visual tool, and you just call it the family law or something. You're on there too, and you say to him, look, from now on, you can't say clean up after yourself. It's too broad, it's too general, it's ridiculous. So you just put down something like this. You start small. And you could say, no, I'm going to start even smaller. I was going to go a little bit extra, but I won't. But you could say, I want your dirty clothes in the hamper and nowhere else. That's your rule. And then he's 12. You could say to him, what do you want from us? So you can negotiate. He's 12. You can do that. I do that with teenagers a lot, the negotiating. And then see what he says. If he doesn't come up with anything good, just say, okay, my rule is no yelling. Something like that. But yeah, then if he doesn't do it, the behavior board has 2 consequences for the kids, 1 for you. Your consequence is always something fun for them. It may be you have to clean up his bedroom or something that he normally would have to do or you'd ask him to do, and now you're going to do it. That could be a good one, but he may not give a hoot about that anyway. So do something that he cares about. That's your consequence. And then his consequence, kids always have 2. The first one is a positive action. So if you find dirty clothes on the floor, you say, okay, so now you're going to empty the dishwasher, and it's within 15 minutes of being asked to do so, and now's a good time, so the timer starts now. If he doesn't do that, he has to finish it within 15 minutes, okay? He can't start it at 16 minutes or 14 minutes. Has to be done by 15 minutes. So then if he doesn't do it, then you say, okay, let's go to the board. You keep going to the board and you say, okay, so now it's 24-hour media blackout because you broke the rule, then you didn't do the consequence. So 24-hour media blackout starts now, and then make it happen. He may run and empty the dishwasher. It just says too late. It's already, you can do it if you want, but the 24-hour media blackout started 30 seconds ago. And follow through. That's how you do it. He's arguing because he knows he can, because you already said you gave in. He may just be your feisty one. Maybe the others were easier, or maybe you went through that with the other ones too, and they just grew up and, it's not a problem now. But yeah, you said you gave in, so you've trained him to do this. They don't come out of the womb arguing. It's a learned behavior.
Okay. I think with this one as well, are you saying that when you start the behavior board, would you do a little preface just because they're a little bit older and be like, I feel like I haven't been as consistent as maybe I should have? Like, would you do
I don't
something?
go in that deep. I just say, look, we want to be better parents. We found this board, so here it is. That's how I talk. It's never about them. It's always about you. And don't go into details. We weren't as consistent. He's tuned you out at that point. As soon as you use the word consistent, he's off thinking about some girl. I mean, he's not thinking about what you're saying at all. We want to be better parents. We found this board. Here it is. It starts tomorrow. Here's the rules. Here's the consequences. But if he doesn't you can put down no yelling as your rule. That's usually the one that you put down. And your consequences for teenagers and older kids is usually that you can't talk after dinner if you yell. So if you yell, like I would even put like painter's tape across my mouth as a reminder to myself. Plus it's funny. So you want it to be something funny that they would appreciate. That's your consequence. But he may have a really good point. He may say, actually, no, can we change your rule to this? And then if it's a good one, change it. Absolutely change it. You got to give them some control. But if he comes up with something ridiculous like leave me alone, let me do whatever I want, then you're going to say, well, we'll keep it to the no yelling.
When you said he would tune you out, is because you started to tune me out when I said that?
Of course.
I felt it.
Yeah, as soon as he said the word consequence, I'm like, that's not kids. They're not listening.
It's like when I was little me in the pool, how I'd go, look, mommy, I can talk underwater.
She went underwater. The two of us went underwater together looking at each other, right? And she goes, because she said, look, I can talk underwater. So then she goes, blah, blah, and she's talking underwater. And I said, sweetie, you always could.
I was a chatterbox.
Both my kids were real chatterboxes. I don't know where they get it from. I have no idea whatsoever.
It's a mystery. Okay, so we have Vanessa from the United States. I have a 6-year-old girl who is getting in trouble for not listening to us, mom and dad, and teachers. So much so that she, along with 10 other children, have been banned from being on field trips. We have trouble when we say no or to stop doing XYZ. She will continue to do whatever she wants to do. We've counted, we've asked, do you hear me? And still it doesn't matter to her what we've said. It ends up being that we have to yell for her to stop. And now sometimes that doesn't work. Help.
Well, okay, let's just work at home because it all starts and ends at home anyway. Sometimes they're really good with teachers because they're intimidated. She's sort of next level. If she's disrespecting teachers, that's another level. So you really want to sort this out at home. And you can't just put not listening. So what you're actually saying is we're not leaders. We don't know how to get respect. We've trained her to disrespect us by being not leaders. You're either the pleaser or you're the authority. You're one of the two. I teach leadership. It's not neither of those. So anyway, I would just start with the behavior board and start with something small. And you're not saying everyone wants to put you listen when asked to do something. That's ridiculous. That's yeah. What you're actually saying is you respect me even though I haven't earned it yet. This is your training wheels. You're learning how to get respect by using that behavior board. So just start with the rules, make it something simple and not personal initially, I would suggest. So yeah, it wouldn't be anything about her personality, like if she swears or whatever. I don't know if she does that, but so just make it something like clean up 10 toys within 10 minutes being asked to do so, or put your shoes and your jacket away within 5 minutes of arriving home. One rule per person per week. Check out my free behavior board, bratbusters.com. That is the training wheels with all this. But yeah, you've trained her not to listen because she doesn't have a leader. She doesn't have any inspiration to listen to. But if she had a really strong leader as a teacher, generally, not to say there's anything wrong with the teacher, but oftentimes they're really good with the teacher if they've got a really good leader as a teacher. So maybe, it might be a great teacher, but it's just not feeding her what she needs. But,
And I would assume if there's 10 kids, like you're probably feeding off of each other.
Okay, well, that was a bit, I don't want to insult the teacher, but if she's got 10 kids that she can't control, she might just be new. That's all. So yeah, new and inexperienced. But yeah, that's a tell for me. But I've spent thousands of hours in the back of classrooms dealing with the challenging kids and watching teachers struggle. And some of them are brilliant at it, others really struggle. So yeah, it's a very, very, very hard job. I couldn't do it, by the way. I could never be a teacher. I think I'd run out of the classroom with my hair on fire.
Okay, the next one is Michelle from Australia. We've been following your methods and thoroughly enjoying our two girls aged 4 and 2. My question is in relation to playdates, particularly when the other family has a pleaser parent style. It's now obvious to me why their 4-year-old is acting out, but I'm unsure on how to handle these catch-ups for my own children's benefit. Every activity is fought with quarrels, arguments, anger, inability to share, tears. Meals are very different from Mal's, where the other children refuses meals and demands sweets. I've observed my daughter's behavior deteriorates from these catch-ups as it becomes a tit for tat, playing off of each other and copying poor behavior, which then I have to discipline before going back to normal. Is there a way that I can make these catch-ups healthier, more enjoyable, and worthwhile for my own children? Are there any discipline strategies I can use after the catch-up, despite all the children's behavior, or would this approach be setting her up to fail? Alternatively, can these sort of experiences be a good thing, whereas we have a family behave differently to other families?
Yeah, why are you bothering with a family? Like, just see your friend at night for dinner. Why are you bothering with that? If there's no joy in it, why bother? If I had kids who were fighting with my kids or something, I would never see them. I would never see them. There's no joy in it, is what I'm saying. So what's the point? Also, the 2-year-old is more likely to follow. The 4-year-old, if you're a really strong, calm leader, they don't follow other people. Your leadership it has such a hold on them because they feel so good about themselves under your umbrella, under your leadership umbrella. They'll just stand back and watch the show. That's what my kids did. They literally, if there were wild kids, my kids would just sit back and watch. Like, they never got involved in it. So, because they weren't comfortable with it. That's the thing. It's not like I was telling them not to. It wasn't their comfort zone. So yeah, but if there's no joy in that catch up, what the heck are you doing bothering with them? Like, I wouldn't do it. Did she say it was family though? That's tricky. And it's none of your business how anyone else parents ever. I never ever given advice to a parent unless they ask. And even then, if it's personal, a friend, I'm very careful.
Didn't say specifically family, so just other families, but
Yeah. So I just wouldn't bother with them. There's so many other people out there that your kids could get along with that you could actually enjoy a gathering. So why bother with people you don't enjoy? But I'm at that age though. I don't bother with anyone I don't enjoy anymore. So Maybe that's part of age, but I was always pretty good at vetting that out. If there were kids who were really wreaking havoc and sort of hitting my kids, I never saw them again.
Okay, the next one is Ju from South Korea. My big boy is turning 4 in 2 weeks, and just 3 days ago, we came back home with a new member, another boy. My first child is gentle with his younger brother, but he is a lot more cranky and aggressive towards me, the mum. I sense that he is observing us indiscreet, using side eye, and then he stares for a while until I turn and look at him. Then he would look away, seeming a bit upset. I try to make more time to spend separately with him, but there's also hard since I feel distant and restless, and I cannot be with him 100% as I did before. He recently has been complaining a lot about standing, walking, doing daily tasks like showering, brushing teeth. Most of the time, this triggers anger within me from him whining about it, especially when we're in a rush to catch up the school bus. I do prepare him 30 minutes in advance. However, I see that the earlier I prepared him, the longer he whines and drags time, and I always end up exploding and having an argument. How should I handle the situation when he whines about being too tired to stand or walk without being angry or yelling? Thank you so much.
Yeah, well, there is a transition time when a new baby comes home, so maybe you haven't given it enough time, and they're not going to get as much attention. That's just a fact. Like, how can you possibly give them all the exact same attention when you got a newborn? So that's just part of it. My kids were 5 years apart, so it was very different. Well, I don't know, 4 and 5. That's not that far apart. But yeah, there was no transition, and I think it was because I still was not talking to my daughter here as much. I was still talking to my son all the time. We were very connected, my son and I. And when she came along, she was boring. She was brand new. She couldn't talk yet. So my son and I, it didn't change his life that much, to be honest. So are you talking to him? Or you see, like, and even though I was talking to my son all the time, the baby, she was in on it. I mean, but I was definitely, I talked to him constantly. So we were buddies. So I'm wondering if he's just feeling like like you don't care as much potentially. And talking is still time, it's still connecting. So I'm wondering about that because he's 4. At 2, they usually react like he is, not at 4. He understands babies have different needs, but maybe you just look a little bit more distant. Yeah, that's my gut reaction. I could be wrong, but that's my gut reaction.
My apologies. Did you say that I was boring?
When you were a newborn, yep. Yep.
uh,
But when he was at school, that's when I was chatting with you and looking at you. But yeah, when he was around, I was talking to him and he was talking to you. You know, you were still the focus, but we were talking about you. I remember this was so freaking cute. She was up on her feet, but not very well. She might have been 1.5 or maybe 1. I don't remember. No, she started walking at 14 months. Anyway, she was in a mood that day. I think she was cutting a tooth. And so we were out in the backyard. And I have a bad back. So my son knew. He was the one who picked her up and put her on the slide and all that. So he would have been 6 at this point. So I remember at the end of that day, she was just demanding and wanted this and that. And he's racing around all day trying to cater to her. So at the end of the day, he says to me, "Oh, gee, what are we going to do with her?" Like, as if he was the dad. It was so cute. But yeah, I made him feel like he was part of it. He was my little helper with her. He would, like, I'd put, if I had to go out and do the laundry or something, I'd put her in his lap. He was older and I trusted him 100%. So he'd just hold her for me. And so maybe make the 4-year-old feel like more he's the helper and, but don't trust him. If you don't trust him, do not leave him alone with the baby at all, at all. I trusted my son 100%. But if I didn't, there's no way I would have left him alone.
kind of like, okay, there's this new kid. How are we going to support them and how are we going to help them grow together?
Yeah. And I truly think that my son felt that I don't think he ever felt 1 second of jealousy. I honestly don't think he did, but we were talking all the time. It was still, nothing changed like that. Him and I were still talking just as much as we always had. So that never changed.
I think that just the talking is possibly sounds like a really good tip to me because I can see that being a helpful way to feel connected.
It was, and that's how we always talked. So, and same with you, we were always talking. So a lot of parents think that quality time should be sitting down. Okay, I've got 30 minutes. Now I'm going to spend quality time connecting with my kids. That's great too. But I was talking to them all the time. If we were driving, we were talking. We were playing I Spy or whatever. And of course, I was always cheating because I'm me. So they loved it when they could catch me cheating. So it was just fun. But talking is quality time too. Time is time.
Okay, we have one final question. So, Laura from the United States. My daughter just turned 3. She's been putting up such a fight about certain things, even after I tell her ahead of time what we are going to do and after I set the timers for her. She replies with, okay, but when the time comes to do the activity, such as changing out of her pajamas into regular clothes for the day, she throws a tantrum, screams, I'm itchy, and she starts scratching herself during the tantrums. Please help. Thank you.
Yeah, I wouldn't start with getting dressed. That's a trickier one. I would start with something like, um, ooh, let me think. Oh, she's 3. Put your shoes in the cubby if you have a cubby. And if you don't have a cubby, you can even masking tape off a little square on the floor when you first come in, and that is her spot for her shoes. Okay, so she really understands it. She's 3. Start there. And what you're teaching her is how to have chores, basically, how to have responsibilities. Now, if she use the behavior board to do this, and you put down her rule is put shoes away within 5 minutes of arriving home. So as soon as you get in the door, 5 minutes starts now for your shoes. And then if she doesn't put them away, then there's a consequence. Telling her ahead of time, it can be okay, but it doesn't necessarily make them do what they should be doing anyway. So you're giving her warning. And then if she doesn't do it, what's the consequence? There's got to be a consequence. We all learn through consequences. I wish there was an easier word for that. Consequences, such a long word, but I have to say it a million times a day. But yeah, that's how we all learn. That's why we pay our taxes on time. Would you pay your income tax on time every single year if there was no penalty? I can guarantee I wouldn't. So yeah, we do, because there's a penalty. There's a consequence. That's how we all learn in life. If you don't pay your rent, you're kicked out. If you don't pay your mortgage, they sell it underneath you. If you see what I mean? Like, prepare them for life by teaching them if they don't do what they need to do, then there's a consequence. They got a price to pay for not doing what they need to do. But you don't want obedient soldiers. You want kids who are responsible. There's a difference.
Okay, that was everything.
That was it. Okay, so the thing was, kids who argue with you, they can't argue with someone who doesn't argue. You've taught them how to do it. You're right. You're just as guilty as they are. You're arguing, and you may say, but they have to do it. We'll start with the behavior board, and then you won't have any reason to argue anymore. There'll be a consequence. Okay, so if you're arguing, especially with a little one, if you're arguing, just say, okay, so we need to get dressed now. This would apply to this last mom because she just turned 3. Okay, time to get dressed. And she says no, or she dawdles, I'm itchy. I would physically get her dressed. I might put her pants on her head and her shirt on her legs just because she's fighting me so much, but I follow it up with action when they're little. So yeah, okay, time to get dressed. No, no, no. Well, I'm in there and I'm getting her dressed. Calm as anything. Calm as anything. They just learn that when I say what I mean and I mean what I say. I'm so consistent that kids just, why would they argue with me if they know I'm going to take action? Plus, I'm fun. Got to mix it with fun. And then they kind of want to please you. That's the power of the leader, is when they look up to you like a leader, they feel good about themselves when they're with you. They instinctively want to please you. So they don't tend to act out. That's your ultimate goal. That takes time. That takes time. Start with the free behavior board. If you want to go next level, that's the courses. If you want to go next level, that's coaching with me. Okay, I think that's it. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll be back again soon talking about another parenting topic. Happy parenting.
Thanks for tuning in. If you're ready to dive deeper, check out bratbusters.com to learn more about the behavior board, parenting courses, and private one-on-one coaching with Lisa. If you've enjoyed the show so far, we'd love it if you could take a moment to follow, rate, and review us on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback helps us reach more parents just like you. The information provided in this podcast is for general informational purposes only and is not intended as a substitute for professional advice. Lisa is a parenting coach, mom, and grandmother. She is not a licensed psychologist or counselor. Her services do not replace the care of psychologists or other healthcare professionals. For a full disclaimer, please visit bratbusters.com/disclaimer.